Why did you listen to those crackheads? Yeah, you did. You listened to those crackheads. Most likely. Apparently, there's statistics, guys, that that say, there's statistics out there that say that there's actually a drug epidemic happening in the United States. And you might say, well, Mo, come on. This is a sensitive topic, and I don't want to talk about it or whatever. It is a sensitive topic, but this is how you learn and this is how you grow. You don't shy away from sensitive topics. You try not to, because if you can't talk about things, you can't have conversations about things. How can you learn anything, or how can you move forward? I'm going to get into this a little bit with you guys, kind of share my thoughts, ad hoc, kind of off the cuff, um, because I feel like it needs to be discussed. I mean, statistics say that there's a pandemic, kind of an epidemic going on, opioid epidemic, all kinds of stuff going on, and this low key does affect a lot of families in the U.S. and in the West, and it's very fascinating because the T-bros over there in Afghanistan, they cleaned up the place pretty quick when they took over, and they didn't have any sophisticated tools, they didn't have any sophisticated anything, and they're cleaning everything up super quick. They're just villagers or part of the country, and they just took over, and they clean everything up. Meanwhile, the United States is some big mega entity that has all the resources and everything, and they can't clean up the streets. It's almost like they don't want to. It's almost like it's low key, some extra low key stuff going on. But drug addiction and all this kind of stuff has affected a lot of different families out there. If you're hearing this, you've probably been affected by it too. Someone in your family's probably been sucked in through peer pressure into that whole goofy, disgusting scene of drugs and alcohol. And it starts with the weed. It starts with the alcohol. Hey, you guys have heard this before, and yet you guys still get sucked into it. What does that say? It goes to show the power of peer pressure, the power that and control that peer pressure and social influence has on you. No matter how strong you think you, hey, if you're doing the drugs and the alcohol, then you weren't so strong and set in your ways and like, oh, I'm never going to be influenced by the people around me. Are you smoking that stuff? Are you doing the little vape? Are you doing all that stuff? Well, then you got sucked into it, bro. Sorry to tell you, you weren't as solid and firm in your perspectives and ways as you thought you were. Well, Mo, come on, it's not a big deal. Yes, it is a big deal. Yes, it is a big deal. If you ask me, I'm just sharing my opinions with you guys. From a competitive standpoint, do I want you guys? I mean, if I'm going to be like a psychopathic, competitive person that wants to make sure that no matter what happens, I beat you out there in the world. If I want to be a psychopath, do I want you to do the drugs and the alcohol? Would somebody want you to? Yeah, because what does it do? It slows your brain down. It deteriorates your mind. It makes you slower. There are all these people over here talking about taking psilocybin mushrooms and acid and all that, whatever, all this kind of stuff. And then I transcend and I see things, and my brain accelerates, like as if this is a movie, like that movie Limitless, where suddenly you're unlocking your full potential. You sound like a schizo to me, bro. You're not. What are you talking about? I mean, we can. Hey, go ahead and share your peer-reviewed journals and everything in the comments section, and go ahead and prove to the rest of us that drugs and alcohol and weed and marijuana and all this stuff doesn't affect your brain negatively. I'm sure there's going to be people out there that's going to find peer-reviewed articles and journals and all that kind of stuff that says the opposite. Yes, it does jack up your brain. And if I'm a competitive psychopathic person that wants to beat you out there in the world, good, go ahead. Go ahead, slow your brain down. Make it easier for me to beat you out there in the world in the competition. Good. Keep vaping and smoking and doing all that stuff. Makes it easier for me to beat you. All the people out there with pristine minds, clean minds, that haven't shoved all that crap into their system, you're going to make it easier for them to whoop your booty out there competitively. in all aspects of life, in every aspect of the arena. So, okay, what do you want to do? Pick your side. You know, and this, how did this stem, guys? How did this happen exactly? It all happened, if you think back, most people, from my experience that I've spoken to, it started back when they were doing, when they were in middle school and high school. You're a teenager at that phase. You know, and man, you guys remember how much peer pressure, making sure that you wore the right clothes, making sure that you did this and did all that kind of stuff. I didn't experience any of that stuff, mind you. I was causing chaos in my high school. I had my own little T-Bros gang of anti-drug, anti-alcohol. Believe it or not, I was starting fights. You know, so I got a little bit of a broken nose from all the fights and stuff that I got into. I mean, I don't get into fights anymore, you know, so, unless you know, somebody wants to do something. But I mean, I try to avoid that stuff. I don't have time for all that. But handle things differently and whatever. But goes to show the power of peer pressure, guys. It goes to show that you know, and what happens? You're in middle school, you're in high school, you want to fit in, right? So what do? Whatever everyone else around you is doing, whatever they think is cool at the time. How the hell did that even get cool? That doesn't make any freaking sense. You know, in my high school, I mean, when people would uh, when my group would come around, people would hide their cigarettes and they would hide their alcohol and all this kind of stuff out of the fear that we would start a fight, because we would start fights with people. And the school and things like that, they didn't know how to handle my little group that I had created. They didn't know whether to punish us because we were starting all these fights, or whether to reward us because we were low key cleaning up the place, because we hated the drugs and the alcohol. My little group. It was like we were having a little battle against all of them. I mean, like, put the damn. What are you doing? Um. Anyways, I might be an outlier in that case. I don't know, man. That's my own personal experience. That's how I did my stuff, and how I was anti whatever everyone else was doing. I wanted to be the anti of all that nonsense. And I didn't succumb to the peer pressure. I created the peer pressure. If what I'm telling you is if that's what I was doing, I guess that's, I don't know, but I mean, that's not how most people are. Most people, they have the people around them, they succumb to the peer pressure. They care so much about trying to fit in and blend in with everyone else, and they end up getting into the drugs and the alcohol. It starts off with the cigarette, and then it just domino effects into the heavier stuff. And I feel so, I mean, this is like something that's really I have a lot of negativity towards. I've always had it for some reason. And but what is it? I mean, because I've seen what it does to people, and how it limits people's full potential. Um, you do that stuff, and then you're all like a zombie, and you're slow. You have no energy. You're all relaxed, and I'm gonna get in the vibe zone, whatever the hell that means. Now's not the time to get in the vibe zone, all this kind of stuff, man. Escapism. Stop escaping from your difficulties and face them head on. You don't need all that stuff, man. Essentially, essentially, um, you get into all that stuff in middle school and high school, and it affects you negatively, and what it does is it causes you to get into this it ruins your mental development, right? Because when you're in middle school and you're in high school, your brain is developing still. And so you're shoving all these chemicals into your body, and it's rewiring your brain with all these dependencies on all these chemicals. And now when you get into adulthood, now your brain is wired to have all these to expect all these they think it's your brain thinks it's normal to have all these chemicals coming in. And now your brain is not going to function 100% unless you're dumping all these chemicals in there, because now you developed a tolerance, you developed a dependency, and now potentially potentially, if you got into like the really bad, the bad stuff or whatever, even the weed or whatever else, now your brain is underdeveloped permanently. What did you do to yourself? Okay, can you get out of it? Yes, you can. You can get out of it. And I'm going to say this right now to the people out there who did get into this kind of stuff and they ended up managing to clean themselves up and get out of it. You have my, I give you, you have big respect for me. If you were one of those individuals that, unfortunately got into that stuff, but you got out of it, big respect from me to you for taking action and getting away from that stuff. I give you props. You've done something that's very difficult, and I feel it. I feel it. I feel it. I feel your pain. I feel your struggle. Um, I have personal experience with dealing with personal people who got into that kind of stuff, and they fortunately got themselves out of it. But I was in there in the trenches, emotionally and everything else, and so if you got yourself out of that kind of stuff, um, big props, big kudos, big respect. Stay clean and keep moving forward. Um, but what I want to emphasize here for those who are maybe still in middle school and high school and they come across this video, do not do it. Do not do it, guys. Don't succumb to the peer pressure. As you get older, you start not to care so much about what people think, but when you're younger, it's like a huge powerhouse of a force. Peer pressure and the desire to want to fit in. Do not. If no one's taken the time in your family or in your life to tell you this, now everyone's hanging out on Discord and everyone's hanging out online and they get on webcam and they start vaping and doing all this goofy stuff. And so you want to fit in, so you got to go get yourself a little, do all that kind of, do not do it. Do not do it. To put my little conspiracy hat on, it's what your government probably wants. They want you to be all like a zombie and not make any movements and be a good little subordinate and just let the government do whatever it wants to do, and you just turn off your brain, shove the chemicals in your up your thing, and just turn into a zombie and just be a good subordinate and just let the government just tax you. And the Boston Tea Party. Did the U.S. did Americans forget about what you got? What the Americans in the early days did? You guys wouldn't even let your government even raise the tax by like 10 cents. You guys had a whole riot off of a 10 cents tax raise. Fast forward into now, you guys are letting the government and everybody just walk all over you guys and not do a dang thing about it. Would your ancestors be proud of you for allowing the government to do that to you nowadays compared to what do the comparison. A whole riot, a whole war, civil war off of off of 10-cent tax raise, Boston Tea Party, way back in the day compared to now, But I'm kind of going all over the place. Just it's my little rant, But off the cuff, to give kind of my thoughts. Really, the focus should be here on the drugs. Don't do it, guys. The peer pressure. Don't succumb to it. Stay above that stuff. Stay strong. Stand for things, especially when I understand if you're in middle school and high school, but the decisions you made back then, especially when it came to the drugs and the alcohol, it's going to just cycle through into your adulthood and on. You're going to be underdeveloped. You're going to be slow, and you're just going to be a good little subordinate worker bee. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. And just, and not have that oomph and that intellectual prowess to be able to make some moves if you got into that kind of stuff. Stay clean, guys. This is not a joke. It can ruin your entire life. And for those that got out of it, big props and big respect from me to you. Okay? It would have been better for those who are able to make the decision now to never get into that stuff. Don't do the drugs and don't do the alcohol. Seriously, we can't even, if you start doing that kind of stuff, forget about all my other videos about all the other things that you got to focus on. We can't even have those conversations. I can't even get into the conversations into those other rooms with those other kind of conversations and topics if you're struggling with this kind of stuff. So this is the kind of one of those starting point things that you guys got to be very careful about out there, especially the youngins. You got to let everyone know. We got to get everybody to get off this stuff, all of it. You don't need any of it. You know, keep your brain pristine, sharp, clean. You know, protect these things. You only have one brain, one body. Keep it keep it guarded and protected so you can make some proper moves out there. um, Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Go ahead and like the video, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.